Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back to the show. John Riggio, architect, pro tennis player, and friend joining us again. How are you today?
Hi, Jill. How are you?
All right. What's happening?
Okay. Yes. So today I'm gonna talk about some more things about entertainment. A lot of times I talk about my architect profession, but I'm going to continue with some more stories just to finish off, fill in all the different things, provide some conclusions to what happened. And just to start off, all of these stories about my tennis and my architect profession are in my book. It's right here.
Yay!
The life story of tennis legend John Riggio. And with the book that was written last year in February, I received an award. So let me just share the award. I have it here.
Sure. Yay. Let's see.
Okay, so this here, you can see this is what certificates I received. This is the Quixotic Book Club of New York City. They read the book and they think it's really amazing. They gave me the award for the most inspiring read.
Aww.
Which is really good. I think one idea of the book is really to read the book and also to get inspired to learn from it, apply it to what you're doing, and so that is one of them here. And then this is the one I showed last time. They just gave me this to buy the book. You could very easily scan it and go onto the computer. And this here is also the certificate showing. It says the top #1 book club pick, most inspiring read winner voted by the readers. So this is the little badge that's on there. Then this here is the certificate that goes along with the award, and it shows here the certificate of award recognition. And it shows here the two organizers, the little award description in the middle. And they just have their own little retake of the book cover. And this here just describes the book's award, saying, honoring a powerful life story that reflects discipline, intellect, resilience, and purpose, and the enduring impact of storytelling on community and connection.
Beautiful.
So let me just stop this here on that. Okay, so I think this time I was watching some of the podcasts from the last few weeks. And instead of putting the entertainment stories at the end of the show, I decided to just put it on the front of it so I could just finish that off. Some people like hearing about the entertainer stories and things like that. And so what happened with all the different things I talked about in part 1, part 2, part 3 of my entertainment friend Liz, it gets even better. Just to really end it off, myself and Liz, we had a Las Vegas style wedding. And I don't know if you've ever heard of someone named Melody Demaio.
No.
Miyagi. She is an adult entertainer that was living in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Ooh.
And they had her run for the governor of Nevada. I don't know if you remember this years ago.
I don't. I'm sorry, but now I'm going to Google. Go ahead.
She is another one that I was watching television one day and I saw her on one of those news talk shows and they had her interviewing her while she was making this run for governor. So since I know her from tennis and I even know her from working in architect work, I've met her a number of times over the years, and someone even wanted me to marry her also too. But what happened is she put together this Las Vegas wedding for me and Liz. So it turned out to be the wedding of John Riggio and Elizabeth Dall. So that was the name. And this did go ahead. And one very interesting thing about this, so with all the different stories I said over the podcast about Liz and when she was young, wanting to get married and this, and then finally to culminate into a ceremony, which was very good. And it was a happy thing. And but our the person that put together this ceremony, Melody, she in fact told me that since she was running for governor, this ceremony wasn't just for fun. She claims it did have a real backing of authority, which I really didn't know that the ceremony had a backing of authority or really more of a backing just amongst friends. But it did have a backing, which is really interesting. I think as soon as the whole ceremony was over, I don't have any certificate for it, but the whole thing sort of ended up getting interfered with by a third party. And the third party, I'm not sure who it is. It's maybe someone in the porn world but unfortunately at this point someone did interfere. And that's why our marriage did not get to continue on after that. What happened is the ceremony was very good. That was a happy story. Everything went really great. And I think I described some things about some help from people like the psychologist. And so that was really very interesting. But I think the third party stopping was a problem. And but really just to fill in the time, what happened is during this time I had already had process with the divorce from my wife, and this was already in process of divorce with her husband that she already had. Originally we had met, we were completely single. We had uh, everything was okay. So during those years, what happened is I ended up doing more things with the wife I divorced. Even in the divorce, I ended up going on vacation, family vacations, helping them out with basic things, going shopping for them. And this was also went into the COVID quarantine time. Then everything stopped after the COVID quarantine time, sort of we're back to divorced again. So that is what was happening, which is really very interesting. Um, but I think at the time that I was talking about Liz, there was something very interesting. I had already made friends with someone named Terri. So at the tennis center, I'm there. This is my own tennis center. I'm the star player. I have really big contracts that's starting to move up in millions of dollars. And Terri is another entertainer, and she is really the owner of the name Ling, and she was the first one to use that name. But she was really nice, and we got along well and made friends. So she, in fact, invited me to her apartment. So we start going out. So she didn't have to just stop over there. A lot of people like to stop at the tennis center, watch me play tennis match, talk to me. And I went and I met her over at her apartment a few times. So that was pretty good. And but somehow my sponsors found out that I was making friends with her outside of our entertainment group. So the entertainment whole thing and the tennis center is sort of insulated, which is very good. So going outside the tennis center, it's according to my sponsors, wasn't what they really wanted. And so we did, somehow they found that we were together outside the tennis center on off hours. And this caused a problem. So the next time I'm there, I visit Terri, and someone comes to the door and says I'm not allowed to stay with her.
What?
They don't want me with her. So I'm already busy with her. I put my clothes on, I run out the front door. And I'm told I'm not allowed to go there with this. I get over back to the tennis center, and they told me the same thing. They do not want me doing anything with Terri outside of the tennis center.
Ah,
And this has to do with just their own organization. So they have like a sport organization. As far as organization, they have assigned meeting to place, doing things at the tennis center, coming watching my matches. They don't want it going outside the tennis center without their permission. So Terri got in trouble for this. They sort of told her not really to come back to the tennis center.
mm-hmm.
And that was pretty sad because me and Terri were getting along, making really good friends, starting to go out. And she they didn't really want to stop by there too much because after that initial thing outside the tennis center, she continued to come over to the tennis center to talk to me, to see me play tennis, but they sort of didn't want her around since
Ah,
she violated the rules that they had. I don't think they never told me about any rules like that before.
yeah.
Just had to figure it out as we went along. And so from her, I started to make friends with Liz. And I think Liz, when I told her about Terri, it started to all come out that Liz was really serious. She wanted to get
Oh, wow.
married. She did not want me to get away. She was very serious because I think out of the group, um, the idea was really to marry someone in the entertainment group. I think you see a lot of entertainment marriages in the newspapers these days. Wonder why people are marrying together in entertainment is because
Mm-hmm.
they are friendly with each other, and then they can potentially have a marriage. She was also aware that my sponsors really didn't want us meeting outside the tennis center without their permission, really to ask to marry someone or to do something on the side. And so that was a pretty sad thing. So I think I had talked about the things on the last parts about all the different bad things that happened to Liz and how I was involved with helping her. And so the thing with Liz wasn't just a one short thing. Liz ended up going back with her mother to Cleveland, Ohio, where she lives there. And I think from having all those different things around her entertainment giving her problems, and myself, of course, getting affected by them, she continued to have problems with her mother. Her mother was like a devil to her. She was horrible, recovering from her coma. And I called her. I said, I want to stop over there in Cleveland, Ohio, and she says, yes, she's really happy about this idea. So she goes over to her mother, and the mother says, no, she doesn't want me. She doesn't like me. Consider a patronizer to her daughter. Does not like me at all, which is very strange. Most friends I have, their parents do like me. So this one new girlfriend, her mother not liking me was sad, and I think it was a lot like indication that there were real problems there. And the problems at that point didn't get better for Liz. Still, they did not calm down. What happened is the mother tried to have her set up with a few guys to go out and even get married. And she even arranged an engagement party for her. And the engagement party didn't go good at all. There was a incident at the party that made it where they weren't getting engaged, they weren't getting married, and that worked to my advantage. So then she is then back home, and then it continues to get worse because the mother threatens her, says that if she continues to talk to me, she's gonna do something about it. What happens is the mother ended up hitting Liz. And I think from that, talking to her, I told her to call the police, and she did call the police on the mother. And that, in fact, solved the problem where the mother couldn't just go and hit the daughter, saying, I can't make a phone call on the telephone. So this went on for a long time, and I stayed friends with Liz for a while. And I think the only problem was we sort of missed out on that whole thing because her mother was not a very nice lady, very angry. Well, what happened is at that point, Liz is still getting very depressed. She ends up passing out on the sofa and she goes back into a coma again. And she's back in the hospital there in Cleveland for 2 weeks. I keep calling on the phone, not knowing what happened. Her mother answers and finally tells me that she'll have Liz call me. So that was a real big improvement. I think something so horrible happened. She finally said something willing to let her call me. And so luckily Liz did recover again. And I continued to talk to her for a while, knew her for many months after that. And I think from before I described, she did end up returning back to New York City again. After she recovered, she was in college. They had a break in college, and she was able to return back. And I was able to meet her and things like that. So I still stayed in touch with her. And in fact, her mother was so horrible, she ended up dying of a drug overdose. I mean, she was really crazy. It was really a sad story with all of her problems that Anne had there. The family, the mother was really did not like me at all. So that was the story up to that point. And so I think one interesting thing that was happening is years ago also I had my girlfriend Delilah. And I think the stories that I was talking about with Liz was kidnapped because she was the Brigadier General's daughter, but she got kidnapped in general. And the story of where they forced her to do the porn, unfortunately, somehow I had something happen with my other girlfriend in entertainment with Delilah. What happened is Delilah, like, his life is like so crazy with this entertainment, and I think what overall what's starting to happen, I think if people hear these stories, it's probably starting to think that there's someone doing like some kind of elaborate plan against me and everyone else. There's someone behind the scenes that is causing these crazy problems, like you'd watch one of those crazy crime movies. And so when Delilah, as we got older, Delilah's father, who was interesting, was a nice guy, was even interested even to do some drafting work for me. He ended up getting into such crazy problems with his gay lover. I mean, this was really outrageous. And it culminated to where they wanted Delilah there. And so one day Delilah told me that this gay lover and his parents, they had kidnapped so many children that they're in the basement of their house. So what I did was I didn't just think it was strange and not do anything. I called the authorities about it, and they really did act on it. So lucky, just in a very short time, they were able to raid the house and free all the children in the basement. Because I was told by the lie of this story that what they do is they kidnap these kids, and then they have people in the porn industry go down and see if any of them want to join their uh their type of adult entertainment. I think some of them take to it from what I was heard, some of them don't. There's all kinds of horrible things that happen. But this is a story that Delilah had explained to me because her father got her into this adult industry. Delilah's mother was involved backing this whole thing too, with Delilah as like an income producer for her family to pay the bills because the father only made like $20,000 a year. gross, and the mother did not work. So she was in really like a horror story, and that's why she thought she was never going to make it as she got older, that her life was going to end early because of these crazy things. And this was a little sad. Even my coach had apologized to me that the story with Delilah, that she has so many problems other than just as a nice girlfriend and wife in entertainment, was really sad. And but since I was around Delilah, I was always able to get around a lot of problems. And I think unfortunately one problem was, even with this whole thing with her doing her adult work, the father used to give her drugs. And I remember one point she had so much drugs that she kept falling down on the floor in the mall. When I called some friends of hers and some of my friends in the area to try to help her, unfortunately I realized at that point no one wanted to help Delilah. If she fell, they're not gonna help pick her up. So I was the only one to really call around, and I got her drug rehabilitation. And she got over her problems, which was really amazing. And but I was the only one to help her with that too, which is really very interesting. And I think when I wasn't around, then they're back at it again, getting Delilah's father, the gay lover, to really get her into such horrible problems that are unbelievable. And then so then after, when I had come back, and there was also a lot of things like bad mouthing. That was an idea too, was to get her away from me, was to just put me down, and I'm not gonna win matches. I'm not gonna, and I had number one contract that the father was still brainwashed, passing it on to the lighter, that I'm not gonna win matches, not gonna, and obviously the obvious was happening. So when I came back from Hawaii, she was so enraged. She ran away to her father to confront her, and that was the last time I ever saw her. She died from that day. Something horrible had happened. And so I think that was really a horrible thing that took place. But that is one story. I think one other story that was really sad, that I mean, it's so outrageous that it's embarrassing to say. I was Melody Demaio, who was Mimi Miyagi. I think a lot of people know her and on television. The one sad thing is I had met her at the tennis center. This is like back in like 1988. She's an entertainer. She knows Liz too. She even knows Delilah. They know each other. She was the first one to come there, and she met me there. She did not have any boyfriends or anything. She was completely single. But what happened over the years from that time, going all the way to like 1993 approximately, she ended up having a boyfriend and getting engaged. And at that time, I was doing some work for someone in my profession, architect profession, and he gave me her number. And I'm talking to her, and I said, "Hey, you're the same one. You know, we realized who we are. You're the same one in entertainment with the you had come to my tennis center and everything." And she tells me that she's engaged. She's a little strong-willed, and she's encouraging with my entertainment, which was really good about talking to her. That's the one thing I like about her. You know, she's a good entertainment friend. But when it came to the thing with her getting married, I was a little shocked. She tells me that she's going out with someone that they even have on the biography, if you look on the internet, says that that's really my cousin. And it turns out he is related to one of my great uncles that lived in Flushing, New York City.
My gosh, what a
And
story.
so somehow they had her marry my cousin. And he was like a very ordinary, like he was getting into stockbroking. You know, a lot of people want to get into stockbroking to make money. and it was a really very strange. I mean, I wasn't going to say that I was supposed to marry her or anything like that, but I was wondering why they'd have my cousin marry her. That's why I was going back to this thing about like someone making this elaborate plan against me, against everyone in entertainment. My
Wow.
sponsors at the end started to speak out to me about this story. They were not this third party. They have nothing to do with it. I think just looking at some people might think it was like a porn that was doing it, just
Right.
trying to really cause problems. But particularly my sponsors, they were not part of this problem. And in fact, they were even saying in their generation, they did not have this kind of problem with someone really getting in on all the females, trying to cause problems, doing these things with the marriages and everything. This caused a little problem. I think the only problem I noticed like in New York City, I was living there for over 10 years, and I was just realizing some things like when people are there, a lot of people we just moved in, they start to get themselves in trouble.
Sure do.
Not sure who is really leading them, if they're being led the correct way or what.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I think a lot of people they probably figure out after a number of years that they were just getting fooled. Someone was uh, acting like an authority, and they were really just kind of cause problems. I think this is what's happening. The same thing with
And
Mimi.
we got 30 seconds left. Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry.
So I think this is one example of what I was saying of someone in there trying to cause us problems. Yet we always had a forward way of doing it. I think I explained my sponsors was very organized. They didn't want things going outside their tennis center without their permission, things like that. But the whole time there were some things of someone causing problems, and I think the story. That's so within the different people I had told, like I'm talking about my Las Vegas weddings where Miyagi, who was Melody Demaio, did the ceremony for us, and myself, John Riggio and Liz Dall making this ceremony after all these years was a fun thing. But there were still problems wanting to crash our party, like
Sure.
in Animal House. So that is
All
one
right,
thing.
John. Sorry. We got to run. Go ahead. How do we contact you?
Sure, you can go on to my webpage, www.johnriggio.com. I'm also available on Facebook, other social media, John Riggio Pro Tennis Player on Facebook, and you could see pictures. You could catch all of these videos are on YouTube. I have a complete setup on YouTube. I have them divided. One set is for tennis, the other set is for my architect profession. You can read them separately, so they're in the divided subject area. They're really good. They're very interesting, and you really like them.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.